Hi, in this Synth Secrets, we're taking a look at James Holden's The Sky Was Pink remix. The Sky Was Pink is Natahan Fake's second EP on James Holden's label Border Community and has been well revered since. The EP featured 4 versions of the title track, 2 from Fake himself and 2 dancier reworked versions from Holden. Each of the 4 versions of The Sky Was Pink are distinct and worthy of a listen. However, it's Holden's remix that would become the unlikely hit. This 9-minute laid-back IDM and house-infused beauty has stood the test of time, and it's the version we are honing in on today. In this Synth Secrets, we will be showing you how to recreate the synth sounds that run throughout the track. The chords are perhaps what makes the track so alluring, with a repeating triplet rhythm that, when combined with the 4-to-the-floor drum pattern, creates an endlessly evolving polyrhythm. We've dropped a link to the original tune below, as well as a link to download the project session, but for now, here's what we'll be recreating today. And here are the chords in context. Lastly, this Synth Secrets is just our best interpretation of this excellent tune. Whilst it might be helpful, we strongly urge you to use these steps as a guide to be creative in your own journey. If you find it helpful, please remember to subscribe and hit the notification button. We appreciate the support. To begin with, set your project tempo to 124 BPM. The chords in The Sky Was Pink consist of a call and response pattern of 2 slightly different synth patches. This requires us to work with 2 MIDI channels with an instance of Twin 3 loaded on each. To begin with, program the MIDI you see on screen to one of the MIDI channels. We will refer to this channel as patch 1. Next, program this MIDI pattern on our second MIDI channel. We will refer to this channel as patch 2. Both of our instances of Twin 3 require different oscillator configurations. Set up patch 1 with 4 active oscillators. Set oscillator 1 to square pure wave shape with pulse width set to 0.9, a detune of 0.18, and oscillator sync os-sync to 2.75. Set oscillator 2 to square pure with a +1 octave tuning. Set oscillator 3 to sine with +1 octave tuning, 1.62 oscillator sync, and phase sync toggled. Set oscillator 4 to a sine waveform with +2 octave tuning, and oscillator sync set to 1.44 with phase sync toggled. Next, we just want to change the volume of each oscillator. Set the gain of oscillator 1 to -6 dB, set the gain of oscillator 2 to -13.3 dB, set oscillator 3 to 21.4 dB, and oscillator 4 to 0 dB. Moving on to patch 2, we're going to repeat the same process. Let's start with the oscillators. Set oscillator 1 to square with tuning at +1 octave and gain at -17.7 decibels. Set oscillator 2 to sine with oscillator sync at 1.53 and gain at 0 decibels. Patch 2 only requires 2 oscillators. Here's our progress so far. The next step is to add filters and envelopes. For patch 1, add a hollow low pass filter at 424 Hz with a slope of 24 decibels per octave. Add a classic high pass at 147 Hz with a slope of 12 decibels. Moving to the amp envelope section, set the attack to 19.5 milliseconds with a slope of -0.41 and a release of 71.05 milliseconds with a slope of 0.5. Moving on to patch 2, set a hard low pass filter at 532 Hz with a peak of 0.16 and a slope of 24 decibels. Next, add a classic high pass with a 12 decibels slope at 124 Hz. Move to the amp envelope and set the attack to 36 milliseconds with a slope of -1. Set the decay to 337 milliseconds with a slope of 0.9 and a -infinite dB sustain. Here's our progress so far. Next, we want to add some movement to the chord sequence, so modulation is required. For patch 1, add a new modulation source by clicking the plus icon towards the bottom of the UI and selecting Envelope Generator from the drop-down menu. Set the attack as quick as you can, the decay to 346 with a slope of -0.4, a sustain of 6.42 decibel, and a release of 175. Now route the envelope to modulate the cutoff of the low-pass filter. Set the EG level to -0.6 and the modulation level on filter 1 to 0.1. Boost the output by around 5 decibels and set the unison to 3 voices. For patch 2, add a new envelope generator as well. You can leave the amp envelope as it is. However, like patch 1, route the envelope to modulate the low-pass filter cutoff, set the EG level to 1 and the modulation level to 1.8. Here's our progress so far. To finalise the chords, we will use a combination of Twin 3's Onboard FX and some external processors. For patch 1, first up, turn on drive. Set the drive amount to around 17% and route it so the drive is pre-FX. Then turn on the compress knob and dial in 32%. Place any EQ after your Twin 3 device and apply a high-pass filter at 285 Hz with a slope of 12 decibel. For patch 2, turn on the compress knob and turn it to 13.5%. We're going to use Ableton Live's spectral resonator to create a more ringing metallic sound. Load it after your Twin 3 device. Set the mode to MIDI and then make sure the patch 2 channel is set as the MIDI input, making sure the effect is set to poly mode with 4 voices of unison. Set decay to 360, HF damp to 23%, harmonic to 128, and set the modulation mode to Wonder. Finally, set the dry wet mix to 30%. Also on patch 2, we want to saturate it slightly. Load up Saturn 2 or another similar saturator that you have. Add gentle saturation above 550 Hz, and then add a high pass filter using an EQ at 290 Hz. Finally, group the 2 tracks together in order to apply some group processing. Increase the gain of the second patch by 5 decibel. On the group, add a glue compressor, set the threshold to achieve around 5 decibels, which is about 25 decibel of gain reduction, with an attack of 0.3, a release of 0.8, a ratio of 4, and soft clipping activated. Now load up a reverb. We have used a Pro R reverb, and we've used a preset Coloured Room B with a mix of 15%, but you can use any bright sounding reverb with a decay of around 1 second. After the reverb, add an EQ with precise bell cuts at 403 Hz and 629 Hz to remove harsh resonant frequencies. Also apply a wider cut at 920 Hz and a wide boost at 4500 Hz to brighten the sound. Finally, load Ableton Saturator onto the group on analog clip mode with a gain of 10 decibel. Here's our final chord sound. And here it is with music for context. Over the course of a few videos, we're going to be exploring Twin 3 in more detail. If you like this video, please share and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.